a second, see if we start. Oh, I think it is. Okay, it's connecting. And I'm going to go ahead and hit go live on Facebook now. Okay. Here we are. If you're tuning in, it is 3 till 1 o'clock. So if you're watching a recording, do fast forward, but we are just about there. Getting started a little bit early, make sure that everything's in place. Like that. Okay, gonna make a quick move there. There we go. So Andy tells me I'm good on both. I'm here with Andy in the headset, of course, and 2 pairs of glasses. Okay, get rid of one. All right. Very close to starting. Again, just fast forward a couple minutes if you're watching a recording, and we're going to start in 2 minutes. All right. Hey, Linda and Cheryl. Okay. Yep. Almost there. What was I doing? Oh, I was prepping very quickly on the side. One ring. Just to double check stuff because I can. And let's see. Thanks for verifying, Patty. Appreciate it. Okay. So we're almost there. Couple of minutes. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Oh, check it out. I finished it for everybody who was watching yesterday on Twitch. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you might want to check out Twitch. Now, actually, Misty knows about Twitch, honey, because she was on Twitch yesterday. You might want to switch over to Twitch because we keep hearing that Twitch is a lot clearer than Facebook. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, frankly. I don't check it out too often. And if you have questions, Andy can actually respond on Twitch instead of just asking me to respond. But anyway, so what do you think? I'm loving this ring. So I finished it yesterday. Oh, what's going on with the freezer? Well, it was sort of on the fritz, and then we think it went out during the power outage on Friday. I toyed around with it, and sure enough, it came back on. It was a switch. So yeah. So here we are. I think I might just do this one more time. I like it, but I love it, but I don't love it like so much, right? So because I feel like I'm a little off-centered, and I'd like to try to work on that a little bit more to see if I can get that centered, or even have a bigger stone in the middle. But it's not really what I was looking for. It was to have this as a shank with a main stone. I want it to have sort of like stones scattered all over, but it's just some of these pieces are a little bit not the size I wanted it to be. So anyway, thinking about doing it again, but I am loving it. There we are. Anyway, so here we are. It's 1 o'clock. Let's get started. Okay. It is Monday, July 27th, week 19. And it's sort of interesting that a conversation came up over the weekend. I have to share it because I think I suddenly got comfortable with, not suddenly, but I think I've been comfortable with this whole Q Talk Live thing for the last, I'm going to say got comfortable probably 5-6 weeks ago. And so I had some questions come in over the weekend that made me go, oh, I guess there are still new people out there. So if you're new out there, do say hello. Do chat with us on Twitch and Facebook and even YouTube. Give us a like here and there because we need it to keep this going, and because to be able to expand and continue what we're doing, we have to ask for your support. That said, for those new people, the question that came up over the weekend that I think I need to sort of bring up is they were trying to figure out what what was free and what was not and how this all works. So I'm going to do a really quick recap, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to put it on the Facebook page. And by the way, that's where I'm doing all the communication outside of video communication, is on Facebook is the best place to get information about what's going on. So if you're new, here's the schedule. Basically on Mondays it's Minimal Metal Monday. So everything is complimentary to the book that was released, my book that was released back in February, called Minimal Metal Jewelry. So all the projects here are more or less free. They're all based on 16 gauge and 18 gauge wire, whatever color you like or whatever metal you like. And if I give all the information on the Facebook page short of the written instructions, and so the written instructions may be downloaded from our website, theurbanbeater.com, and for a $5 contribution is what we're asking. And this is sort of a way to get some sort of income in and pay for the time and materials that it takes to put these out. Okay, so that's what's happening on Monday. Wednesday started off as demo day, and by the way, for August, because of everything that's already going on with Virtually Ever Crafting, we're going to do a couple of demo days in August. I think some of you have already seen that on the schedule, but on Wednesday we sort of changed it up. We're on like project 7, so maybe 2 months ago we started doing a step-by-step surprise. Step-by-step surprise. Again, the videos are free, and we're doing it here live and we're simulcasting, of course, on Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook. So the instruction videos are here, they're live, and they're free, except I don't give the details on the materials, because the angle, I guess you can say, the caveat is that you have to order a kit to get all the materials and to know specifically what the materials are, and it does come with the written instructions sent to you. The premise of it is that you're ordering a kit blind. You don't know what it's going to be. You don't know if it's a pendant, ring, earrings, or a chain, whatever, and it comes as a surprise and through a series of usually two lives, and I reveal what the project is. So like what we're doing, this is the longest one that I've done yet. So right now we're working on Labyrinth, and on Wednesday is the 3rd of the series, and we'll finish it up with how we're going to hang this thing anyway, and how to set it. So that's what Wednesdays are. And then on Fridays we're doing Zooms. So Zooms are for a fee. So the instructions the video, the kit, all of which are feed. So if you want to participate in Zooms, you have to register for them, again, through our website, theurbanbeater.com, and also Step-by-Step Surprise. All the kits are there, and you can choose if you want to just buy the Zoom and participate that way, or you want to buy it as the kit and the Zoom, and there's a little discount for that, or you want to buy an extra kit, you can do that too. So that's the story. That's the premise of everything that's going on. And of course there's Virtually Ever Crafting, which costs money across the board. Okay, so that's it. Except actually, if you've been looking at Virtually Ever Crafting, you'll see that we have one demo class that's being put up by Sully Girardi, who is doing an easy gold plating. So I'm excited for that. I believe how much was it, Andy? I think it was $18 only for this class. So if you've been wanting to get in on it or want to learn gold plating, it's a really great inexpensive way of jumping in and learning about it. So that's what's going on. Hopefully that explains the rigmarole what we're doing here on week 19 and going forward. And some of you again have already noticed that I have put up the August schedule, and we'll make that a little bit more prominent, and I'll figure out a little bit better way of explaining the details of that so that there are a little bit less questions. Anyway, so thank you so much for hanging out and being here, and let's see what's going on. So today is Minimal Metal Monday, and we are doing this project here. Oops, there we are. So the question of Zoom, is everyone live on Zoom? Yes, everyone is live on Zoom. And the thing about Zoom is instead of sitting here chatting and having Andy ask me questions, you're live too, if you want to be, of course. And I can answer questions directly. And part of the whole Zoom thing, especially with Virtually Ever Crafting, because we are doing it as 3, 6, and 9 hour sessions, is that you should be working along. We're hoping that you work along with us so that you can show us if there's a problem and ask questions. And that way, we can. It's like having a live or a hands-on class without being next to you. So that's the goal and that's the effort of what we're trying to do anyway. So yes, they're live and you're there to interact with me and the instructors. Hope that answers the question. So oh, and I forgot, there's also Wine on Wednesday. That's a Zoom that we do once a month, first Wednesday of the month. And by the way, that is next Wednesday coming up. So if you are interested, do reach out to us directly and we'll get you a link to the Wine on Wednesday so you can participate, because we do not post Zoom links publicly because of spamming. So we try to keep it a little bit more secure by doing it that way. So just reach out and we'll get you a link and you can register to be a part of that. And that's just a lot of fun. We just hang out and I try not to drink too much. I'm sorry. Oh, reach out to us through Facebook directly. Okay. So today's project is Upon a Star. Sorry. So Upon a Star, it's a really simple project. It's sort of, it's just a little bit fun and there's a lot of different options. Here I did it in silver, but I'll be working in copper today as always. And okay, without further ado, let's start. Okay, so what we'll need, you may or may not need a ring mandrel. That's optional, but it is helpful. If you don't have a ring mandrel, definitely what's going to make it all very consistent is a 1/2 inch dowel rod. By the way, we do have dowel rods on the website as a set available, and all the links are available on the Facebook description of this live. So if you need any of the tools, you can reach out to us. So a 1/2 inch dowel rod, a chasing hammer, sort of optional. A bench block is a good thing too, and of course some pliers. I always prefer a ultra flush plier or ultra flush cutter because they cut the wire really flush and I don't have to file as much. And then you'll need a file. A metal file is good. Some chain nose pliers, just a pair of regular chain nose or 2 pairs of chain nose, or a chain nose and a flat nose will also work. And as always, a soldering station is good, and you'll need your typical torch because we are soldering today. So torch, fire tweezers, some pickle, a soldering board, that kind of stuff. As far as materials, you'll need 18 gauge wire, but if you want something that's a little bit heavier and more bold, you can definitely use 16 gauge. You can use sterling silver, copper, or brass. On this project, I would not use fine silver because it's a little too soft, okay? And then you'll need some copper pieces. These pieces are available on our website, and we have all kinds of pieces on there. We have bees, fleur-de-lis, music notes. As you can see here, I have a few of them. I have the arrow, a star, an X, and a heart. Okay, so this is sort of argumentative. Is it an X or is it a cross? I don't know, but I'm going to use it as an X today. Anyway, okay, so you'll need some of that and some jump rings. Oops, didn't grab any jump rings. Here it is. I have some on the side. Okay, so then you'll need some jump rings to go with that. So 5mm 19 gauge is a good size. You can go for a larger jump ring if you'd like, but I really like my 5mm jump rings. Does it have to be 19 gauge? No, it's just a size that I'm used to using. You can definitely use 18 gauge. If you're using 20 gauge, you're going to have to solder every single one of those jump rings or they're going to fall apart. So that's for sure. If you don't want to solder, use at least the 19 gauge or the 18 gauge jump rings, okay? All right, and by the way, that was an outside diameter for the 5mm. All right. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's do it. First thing you're going to do is you just take the wire and we're going to wrap it around the 1/2 inch mandrel. Easy peasy. Nice and tight. And you want to do about 10 to 13. It's going to depend on your size. Well, if you decide that you really don't like this size, you can definitely go smaller. Personally, I would not go larger, because the larger you go, the more flimsy the link becomes. Okay, so if you want it to be a little bit more stable, or you will want a little bit more emphasis, then go ahead and go a little smaller. So 3/8 works well too. Okay, so I'm just going to take my cutters and cut right down, and notice immediately I have several rings. So make sure that both ends are flush. So I'm just going to turn my cutters around, and I'm going to cut the other side. Like so. Okay. And take off the beveled edge. Now one side was flush, the other side wasn't. Okay. And you'll also see I don't have a perfect ring here. You see? I have a flat edge, but that's okay. I'm going to reshape it anyway. So you want to make sure you work the ends together like so. Okay. And then because I have this pitch here, easiest way to get rid of it is to just take it, put those ends in a pair of pliers, and squeeze down on it. Oops, just like that. And it'll bring the ends together. And again, I'm just going to work it like a jump ring and make sure it's nice and even. Okay. So again, you'll make somewhere between 10 and 13 pieces, and then you'll reserve one of them for the clasp. Okay. So let's see, there we are. Oops. And I meant to tell you how long this one is, so that you know. So this one is about 7 inches, and I made 10 links, and the last one makes 11 for the clasp. Okay, so if you're doing about a 7-inch bracelet, there it is. That's how many you'll need. Alright, so set all your jump rings on the solder board. I have a couple jump rings I already started making, so I'll just finish those up and we'll solder them all in one shot. I like doing production style, especially with the chain, because it's just repetitive motion, that's all. And what's nice about chain making, as I always say, is it's really nice soldering practice. Okay, so for those of you who are getting a new torch, the little baby torch, this is a great way, or already have it, this is a great way to practice with your torch. Okay, this one doesn't want to come together. Okay, I see why. So I have a little bit of a beveled edge on there. This is where your file comes in, so you might need to file that just a little bit. There you go. Just like that. Oh, this one's already soldered. Alright, then you'll take out a pin is nice, or a toothpick. I don't like using the syringe ends on the solder, because the ends, the solder just more or less dries up inside of the syringe tops. Okay, so you put a little bit of solder, and I'm putting mine on the inside. Okay. So just a little bit of solder. This is like a ton of solder. I think you can see that. I'll move it up a little bit closer. That's just a ton of solder, but I'm not going to use all of it. I'm just going to use a portion of it, because you don't need that much. Okay. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more for you. Okay. Alright, so one last one here. So just a little bit, and again, you can put this on the outside, but I really prefer to put the solder on the inside. Okay. Oops. So I'm using copper solder. If you're doing silver, you will use either hard or medium solder will be good. Okay, either one, because we don't have many joints next to each other, so we can definitely go to medium. You don't have to use the hard. So with copper, so I'm going to pretend this is silver. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so if this is silver, you'll have to heat the entire thing right to the blue tip. Heat it, and then hit the joint. Done. Okay. And then this one, remember, heat the whole thing, and then the joint, just like that. If you're doing copper, you can just heat right at the joint. Back and forth, gently, just like that, and it'll go. Done. The biggest mistake I see with people is they do this. There's no reason for that. Just gently, right there, right at the blue tip, right at the joint. When you're doing copper, if you're doing silver, heat the entire thing. Okay, so I'm going to quench that in water on the side here and throw it into the pickle. Why not solder the ring shut and add embellishment at the same time is the question. Here's a reason. So first of all, I'm going to hammer the link. So if you have an embellishment on there, you're going to risk damaging that embellishment. Okay. The other thing too is my rings are not perfectly round, so if I put an embellishment on there, it's going to be really hard to make it round. But if your rings are round and you don't plan on giving it any texture, absolutely put it right on there. I would put the solder right on the joint and put the embellishment right on that solder and do it in one shot. Okay. Okay, so Misty, you should go to theurbanbeater.com because we have the butane torch. In fact, we have both the pistol torch and the regular torch. And we also have the Gentech torch, this baby here. This is the Smith Little equivalent for not quite the price, which is nice. So let's see where we're doing here. We're almost there on the pickle. Give me just another minute, and then we'll pull that out. So remember, when you're taking things in and out of the pickle, do not use ferrous metals like your fire tweezer. Okay, you need to make sure that you're using a either copper tweezers or something plastic is a good thing. Okay, so yeah, we've been loving this torch, and you know what's sort of interesting about this torch while we're waiting to pickle, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. It lets me do things like this really nice and easily. So that's what's really exciting about it. And you know, I'm even debating because the torch is really small, and I think I forgot to put a granule right here. There's a gap, and it's really bugging me. And by the way, these are not CZs, so they're actually white topaz, and it's freaking me out. I mean, if it was CZs, I would go ahead and solder it on without worry. But I'm like, I wonder if I can get away with it because I have that little tiny torch. So I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I have the the guts to do that, right? So okay, let's pull this out of the pickle. Let's see. Oops. Pickle today is taking its time. It went really fast yesterday. So which torch do I recommend to buy? That's a hard question. It depends on what you're doing, what you intend on doing. If you're doing really big pieces, just get the butane torch. But if you're doing really fine work, that's a bit different because that big torch, like I said, it won't do things like this. It's a little bit too much or too big. Or yeah, I guess that's right, too much torch. So I'm just going to put this in here into my ring mandrel and take out my mallet. I'm sorry, Andy, what was the question again? So what's the equipment that you need with this torch? This particular torch you can use with the disposable butane and disposable oxygen that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. I'm just reshaping the rings, by the way. You'll need a lighter or a striker of some sort. Some people just use a lighter. I don't know how I feel about that. I use a striker. You can also get that at Home Depot, and just something to hold the torch up. And even then, that's sort of optional, because if you just turn off your torch every single time, you don't need a holder. I don't turn off my torch every time. I have a little holder on the side over here. So what gauge am I using? I'm using 18 gauge today, and I'm putting it on here because my rings were a little warped and I'm flattening them out. Okay, and this is I used a 1/2 inch dowel rod. Okay, so they're nice and flat, and I'm just going to texturize them a little bit. Actually, I'll use this side because I want a little bit more texture. Just like so. Don't get too crazy with it because 18 gauge is not particularly heavy, so you don't want to create any weak spots. And if you use the face of your chasing hammer, don't dip it to the side like this, making dinks in it. You're going to create weak spots. Okay. Just like so. This is optional. If you want the texture, you can do that. But let me also tell you, if you don't want the texture, but you want it flat, you'll use the face and it'll flatten it out. And by the way, this will also make your life a lot easier if you do go ahead and flatten this out, because when we go to solder the embellishment, there will be a flat edge for it, right? Instead of a round edge, and therefore it won't fall over. Well, this one's falling over anyway, but you know what I mean. Okay, so actually I'm gonna do a little more here, and I'm gonna stick this back in the pickle. It's still not pickled enough, okay? Did I answer your question on regarding the, okay, so Missy asked a question, did I answer the question on the difference between the two on the site? If you're talking about the blog that I wrote about torches, I actually don't remember. But you know what, let's push the question to the end. I'll come back and I'll do a quick review on the torches because it's a good question. So we'll do that at the end if you don't mind. Okay, so we're back in the pickle, and I'm going to set up and get ready to torch. It's a very easy project. I love it. It gets us to the point really nice and quickly. So you don't have to wait too long for that answer on the torch. Okay. Let's see, are you going to do any better for me? I think so. Okay. The difference between the two butane torches. Did I really answer the question? No, not really. But we'll do that at the end. Okay. Okay, so much cleaner. I'm going to set these up. And I'm going to reserve one for the clasp, and I'll show you how to do that. And we'll just do a bunch of different ones. Here we'll do a star, we'll do a heart, just for fun. So here I'm just putting a little bit of solder on the back side so you can see, and I'm going to find the joint because this will help me just cover up the joint. Woohoo! Right? Less cleanup later. And a little bit on there so you can see, just right on there. Just like that. Again, tweezers are my friend. You know, actually, maybe I want them going this way. Okay. Yep. And then we'll do the arrow. Okay, just a little bit. And right on the joint, like so. And I'm going to put the arrow, instead of making it go this way, I'm making it go this way so it doesn't catch. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now remember, always keep a tool in one hand. And so the next solder you should use is either medium or easy, and I'm just using copper solder. And remember, copper solder self-levels, so it doesn't have different levels. You can just go ahead and use it, and it will be softer than the first one. Okay, so this fell over, no big deal. We're going to move it over, and there it is, done. Hard to see, but you can sort of tell because it'll sink. The piece itself will sink, and that happens so fast. There it is. Okay, and that's it. So I heated the whole thing right at the joint, and it happened. Unfortunately, you can't tell because the solder is underneath. Meaning you, the viewer, not when you're sitting here. When you're sitting here, you can actually see it sort of sink and sort of grab onto each other, and that's how you know it's done. Because this is copper solder, I like to give it a second to set before I touch it, because we know what happened when I touch it too quickly. They do fall apart. If you're using silver solder, it sets almost immediately, but I think maybe you can see that. Let's see. There it is. That's the back side. Gonna focus for me today? No. Okay, there it is. Okay, there we are. So there's that first one. I'm gonna throw it in the pickle. Let's quench the second one. Okay. And again, I can see from the back that it's soldered. This does take a little bit of you know, if you haven't soldered before, this might be a little bit more tricky. Okay, so here, this one's the second one. I'm gonna throw it in there. And let's make the clasp while everything pickles, okay? So reserving a ring, I am going to take out my chain nose pliers, and we're just going to bend this together. Oops. Gently like so. Okay? And to keep this end round, I'm going to take out either a round nose or a multi-looping plier. I'm going to put it on this one here, second to largest one, and pull this around. Yes, this would be great for a pair of earrings. So just gently push it together like so, and then bring this like together really nice and tight. This is going to be your hook, okay? So here we are. Next thing you're going to do, well, not the next thing, you could, is bend it over, that little hook over, and we're going to put embellishment on there. But it's a little precarious to put the embellishment on this bend, so I'm going to go ahead and solder that embellishment now, right? So we'll grab a piece and some solder again. Again, you'll use either medium or easy depending on what you started with. Right, and a little teeny bit of solder on there, and right on top. Again, I'm going to say those are X's because they're like X's and O's instead of crosses, right? Okay, so I'm going to heat the whole thing, and then right on that joint until I start seeing a little bit of solder bleed, and that's my indicator that the solder has flowed. Okay. Oh, it's raining. Andy just told me it's raining. Yay, we need the water. Okay, look at that. And then you'll flip it over, and with your round nose, I'm just going to make a bend over like so, and this becomes my catch. See that? You can see that. Okay, just like so. Alright, throw that in the pickle, and let's go fish the other ones out. So next up is pretty straightforward. You're just going to jump all of these rings together, and for mine I jumped them with doubles just because it gave it a little bit more emphasis. So you can see here I did double jump rings on all of mine. Okay, on this copper one, just for the sake of moving things along, I'm just going to go with singles. Alright, so jump rings, remember, never pry them apart. You're going to take two pairs of either flat nose and chain nose or a combination of, and notice I'm swinging it to the side. Alright, we'll put this one on, put the next one on, and close it back just like so, and keep going until you have enough pieces for your bracelet. And heck, keep going if you like, if you want to make a necklace. And you know what? I have not done this with the heart and the arrow. This is fun. I like it. I think it should have the heart, the arrow, and the little X. That'd be a lot of fun. Okay, so then next up, how do you solder the jump ring? Let's solder the jump ring. Okay. So what you're going to do is we're going to hold the jump ring right underneath, like so. We'll take some solder. Easy solder is best. If you're doing copper solder, we're just going to put some copper right on there. And I like to go right there. I have the opening at 12 o'clock right on top. Let's see, there we go. And we're going to heat it right in front, right at the blue tip. Let's not hold it like that. Let's keep our fingers on the fiber grip, because remember, metal transfers heat. So we're going to put it right there. Even if you're doing copper, you don't wave it around. You just hold that torch right on the opening at the blue tip. Okay, and it happened that quick. Yep, that's soldered. Let's do it one more time just because we can. Okay. Let's see. So underneath. I like holding it underneath because it keeps everything nice and balanced. Okay, I quenched this, which means it's wet, and so the solder's not going to stick. But just a little bit of heat like that. It'll help it stick at this point. Just enough to get a little warm and dry, that's all. And a little bit of solder right across the top, like so. That is teeny weeny, and right at the blue tip. And done. Yep. Okay. I'm going to throw this in the pickle again, and I'm going to fish out the clasp. Remember, when you take anything out of the pickle, you want to make sure that you rinse it, okay? Because pickle is an acid. So there's my clasp. And so what's going to happen here is you'll add the clasp at the end of your bracelet, and then here it just hooks on. And that's your clasp. It's really simple. It's just a hook, and I thought it would be nice. You could leave it without an embellishment, but I thought it was nice to be able to put on a little embellishment, and it just sort of completed the piece, right? Like so. So once it's out of the pickle and you rinse it, you can clean it with some steel wool, or you can throw it in the tumbler if you have a tumbler. The tumbler needs a bit of steel shot and a little bit of Dawn liquid soap works, okay? A lot of people like tumbling solution. I don't, because I just think it's expensive, and I don't understand the point of it, because Dawn liquid soap works just as well. But again, here we can just clean it up like so, with some steel wool, or even a brass brush works well. It'll come right up. Actually, brass brush is working pretty well for me right today. Okay, so remember, all of the tools and whatnot are listed in the details on the Facebook page. The description of this video is listed there. And if you would like the written instructions, you can get the download from theurbanbeater.com, and I did provide a link for that too. So there it is. That is Upon a Star. So link up everything and make it into a nice chain. So any questions on the project? So far so good? Okay. So hold on, I'm going to grab the other torch and I will do a quick discussion on torches again. Okay, let's see. So there's, anymore I'm using 3 different torches right now, okay? So the first torch is the pistol torch. I've been using this for, let's be honest, I've been using this like for the first 17 episodes or 17 weeks, and I ran out of fuel. And I just didn't get a chance to go, and I had a lot of the other fuel, so I went to the other torch. I only have 15 of these running around from the classes, right? So, okay, so we've got this butane torch, which is just a regular max flame torch, and we have this pistol torch, okay, is what it's called, because this one goes directly onto the top. The biggest question people always ask me is, where do you get the fuel cells? Frankly, you can get it from Amazon at this point. You can order it from Amazon, or you can get it at like Dick's Sporting Goods or Bass. Is this Bass Sporting Goods? Anyway, Bass. And sometimes Walmart has it, and it's always found in the camping section, okay? And if you live in a large metropolitan city, you can get it from the Asian markets, okay, because they're using it for stoves, for portable stoves. So that's where that's the biggest difficulty, is the fuel cell, but it's not even difficult anymore. A few years ago, it was a lot more difficult than it is now. Anyway, okay, so you have the two butane torches, and then you also have like a micro torch, which is a butane torch. I don't own one at this point, but the micro torch, what's the difference? Okay, I'll show you. So here with this one, can you see that? Okay, I think you can see. Okay, so you can see how big it is, right? So you can see how big the torch is. The micro torch is really small, and it's still butane, which means it's only blowing at about 2,500 degrees. And for everything that I do in general, actually it probably would have worked on this project, more than likely would have worked on this project, but for bigger projects it's a big struggle. Like if you want to enamel with it, you couldn't do that. So this torch is the same thing, okay? Let's see, can you see that? It's a self-ignite like the other one. You click down, you push in, okay? And then there's a gauge on this side to make it larger or smaller, but you can see how big the torch is. Again, it's really big and bushy and has a lot of oomph. For only 2,500 degrees, I know I keep saying only 2,500 degrees because it really is only 2,500 degrees, it needs a lot more bulk to get us to the point, okay? Unlike the little Genteq torches, okay, I'll put it down here because it's so small you can't see what's going on. Why can't oh sorry, why can't I just figure out where the camera is today? It's a struggle. Okay, it's Monday. Anyway, so the Genteq torch is really tiny. You can see how small that torch head is going to be comparatively. I need to turn on my oxygen concentrator if I'm going to show you what this actually looks like. So give me another second. Let me turn on my fuel. Now I don't have mine on a, oops, I'm also attached. Hold on. I don't have mine on a portable anymore because there's just, I use it a little too often, so I actually have it attached directly to my wall. I have a natural gas pipe here that pipes in all the fuel, and an oxygen concentrator, so I never have to worry about replenishing. It's a conservation thing. But anyway, what's nice about these torches is if you order the propane one, which is on our website, you can buy these cylinders from, again, Lowe's or Home Depot, and next thing you know, you don't need a regulator, you don't need anything except the adapter that comes with the kit. Again, it's on our website, and and you screw it right in there, and you don't need a regulator because there's only so much pressure in these cans. And the other thing too is, if you're really concerned, you can recycle them. Most counties have some sort of a hazardous recycling day of the month, something like that, and you can take it there and they will recycle it for you. So they are recyclable. They're not refillable as a general rule, but they are definitely recyclable. So what's the real big difference is that with the little one, let's see if I can get it on at this point, with the little one you can just do a lot finer work, okay? So here with the little one you're going to need a striker, whereas the other ones are all self-ignites. Okay, I'm sure you can barely see what's going on there. Okay, so if you have a blazer torch, the reason why you have to keep refilling it, the question is, every time you use it, you have to refill it. Because the cylinder, see, like this one, the cylinder is really small, so you're going to have to refill it. This is going to give you about 15 minutes worth of endless fuel, depending on how big your flame is. I actually tested this one, end on end for the can, I used it for 3 hours. So, and also, by the way, don't throw these cans away either. These cans are very recyclable, okay? And for that other butane torch, I'm using triple refined butane, which again, you can buy from Amazon or Home Depot and Lowe's and those kinds of outlets. And actually, you can even buy them from, I know, ready? Cigar stores. And if you're really desperate, you might be able to buy it from the drugstore, because they sell the little ones that you can refill your lighters with. But then you're gonna be blowing through a bunch of those cans. Anyway, so here, can you see that? I'm gonna try not burn myself or the torch here. You see how small that torch is? I'm trying to give you a perspective as to how small this really is. Okay, so actually here. You see, this is my round nose, and it tells you how big that head is, okay? And actually in the kit it's a number 4, it's even a little bit smaller, and you can definitely get into tiny little spaces, like I did on, oops, hold on, sorry, I'm like not paying attention here. So you can see I can get into these tiny little spaces on my ring. Okay, so Misty, I hope I answered the question. I'm going to give you a second to respond here. So, you know, another thing too about these torches, what's great about them, believe it or not, oh, they burn at approximately 4,500 degrees is where we are, okay? Which means it's a lot more accurate, and, you know, it's a lot more powerful, and it gets you to the point really quick and much more easily. The torches are safe, okay, and they should be, I mean, yeah, they should be fine in a small apartment unless you have signed some sort of disclosure that says you can't have them. Let's put it this way. So a lot of people are really afraid of these torches, it's not, for me, I'll put it in perspective, okay? Do you have a gas grill? Think about it. Most gas grills have a large propane tank, like a 25-pound, if I understand that correctly. How many pounds is this one? So this one is 400 grams, 14 ounces, okay? So if you have a gas grill, this is that much smaller than a gas grill. You see, it's a lot less going on. You know, you want to make sure that you put them in you know, you don't want to put it next to a furnace. You don't want to put it in a place where it can overheat. And you know, chances of these exploding, your house is already on fire. That's what's going to take to get one of these to explode. Okay, so like literally. I'm sorry, say again. Okay, so the question is, how is the torch hooked up to the oxygen concentrator? All right, it's going to take a little bit because frankly, I am like 10 feet away because my oxygen concentrator is a little bit, a little bit loud. Okay, so give me a second. I'll move the camera, and I think I'm going to lose my audio too, because let me see if I can take this, my wires out here and see if my wires will actually reach, but it is far. And again, you know, I have natural gas piped in to the studio, and that did not cost very much for us here. Another thing too is the natural gas it depends on where you live. For us, it was not a big deal, and what I understand is that we have an unusual situation with our natural gas because they actually increased our pressure so that I could do this without having a, I can't even remember what they're called, but they have these machines that cost over $1,000 so that you can increase the pressure coming in from natural gas. Anyway. Oh, okay, so actually, wait, before I move this, Cheryl makes a really good point. Let's do a quick demo balling an end, because that will show you how quickly this happens. Okay. Good point, Cheryl, thanks! Okay, I'm gonna, ooh, and suddenly, I lost my camera. Hold on, I have to refresh it. Okay, yeah, I'll do a quick demo and then I'm going to move it over so you can actually see. Okay, there we go. What's going on here? Okay, so here, right, I have the butane torch. Try to do it from the side so you can actually see what's going on. And this is, what is this? 16 gauge wire, copper. It takes a little bit for it to happen. Right, the blue tip. Sorry, I had to stop because I'm pointing right at my the propane tank. So I need to make sure the propane tank was far enough away. So still going, still going. It takes a minute. Because it's copper, it's taking its dear sweet time. Okay. Starting to ball. There it is. Okay, now you know how long it took to get there. Quench it. You can see, oops, you can see there's my ball. Okay, so same wire, let's flip it over. Let's turn on the Genteq. What's the difference between the Genteq and the Smith Little brand? If you're wondering, it's just brand. Okay, so you can see there. Okay, so we're going to put it right on there. And you'll see we've already balled it up, and look, it's twice as big as the other ball already. Okay, so that's how quickly it happens, and that's what you get going from 2500 degrees to 4600 degrees. Okay, so there you go. All right, and the propane, remember I'm using natural gas, so I'm only at about 4600 degrees. You're going to use propane. That'll put you at approximately 4800 degrees if I remember correctly. Okay, so that said, I don't know if my headset's going to reach, but I'm going to move the camera and take you over to, actually here I'll show you while we're here. Oops, are we upside down? We're upside. I'm not used to doing it this way. Sorry, you dizzy yet? Everybody dizzy? Okay, so here you can see that's my gas line, right? So I have it directly into my gas line, okay, and then it goes right here to my torch, okay, and on the floor, I know, not pretty, hold on. Okay, so on the floor, here we go, it's going, oh, I cannot reach it, so I'm gonna have to drop my headset. I'll be right back. Okay. Oops. Did I show them? I was doing it blind. I don't have a screen to work with. So, did I get it, honey? Oh, okay. So Andy was looking at an email. So did I show you that? I had to look at it blind. I'm sorry. I don't have I don't have the screen in front of me, and I'm over there. Oops. Okay, so you did see it. So now you understand how it hooks up to an oxygen concentrator. It should be very simple. It should be very straightforward. The adapter should be right on with it. There should not be any question as to the valve, unless you bought one that didn't come with, and that should be pretty straightforward too. Anyway, so so that said, what else can I add? Any other questions? I think hopefully, Misty, I got I help you figure out how that works out. But you know, the torches are relatively inexpensive. Okay, how much do we have for, honey? $159 delivered, so that includes 169, and that includes the shipping, because it was sort of an odd item to ship and whatnot. So anyway, so it's 169 delivered is the Gentech. I think it's worth it. You get the fuel cells from Home Depot or Lowe's. The other torches run about 40 something dollars, so it's pretty straightforward. Anyway, so okay. I think I answered your question, Misty. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. I do have a little bit more information on my website at qfarmgray.com. If you go to the blogs, you'll find that I did have a little discussion, or I wrote a little blog on like the propane torches and the acetylene torches and how I got my hookup up and running and all that good stuff, and see whether or not that might help you make a decision a little bit more on which way to go. And you know what? You guys can always reach out to me directly on Facebook or send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to answer your question. But definitely you can ask here. So in the meantime, I'm going to thank everyone for hanging out and continuing to show support with your contributions and your downloading the instructions and everything. And do share these videos. We need it. It's really helpful to get the word out there. And hello to everybody worldwide, because the Twitch watchers are all over the place, and it's always great to see people from other countries hanging out. So for now, thanks for hanging out. I will see you on Wednesday to finish up step-by-step labyrinth. And registration for virtuallyevercrafting.com is still going, so we'll see you then. All right, have a good one. I won't be hiking. It's raining outside, so enjoy the weather that you have. Hopefully it's better than what we have. Okay, we'll see you on Wednesday.